Good morning. I wish that we had some policymakers around. Well, we know that it's been a policy of government to raise the girl child, because in our assessment, we figured out the women were lagging behind. So a lot of effort has been put into bringing up the girl child. Unfortunately, in doing that, the attention has not been on the boy child also. And so, if we go to universities and many other places of study, we can see the women moving up and the men going down. And that's why I want to associate with this very group in going around and encouraging our boys to come up. After all, eventually, it's these same men who will marry our daughters. If we don't get them in the right frame, then we have a very, very chaotic future for this country. So it is a very important program that we are running, and I hope that you'll be very attentive. As has been said, my name is Ernest Kusi Ababio. I'm a pharmacist by profession, but I'm not here to theorize. I'm not here to theorize with you. I just want to give you hands-on. So what I'm going to say is not what is written by somebody, but it is what I have lived. And if you consider that to be a successful life, maybe you want to be my mentee, and you can study my lifestyle and also put it in practice. So I am 63 years old. So you know you are talking to a very old man. And having come into the world, I have gone through a lot of difficult times that maybe some of you are also going through. I can appreciate. I want to encourage you that the beginning of life is not as important as how it ends with you. In the Akan cliche, we have a certain cliche that goes like, chi chi so 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 chi chi. Chi chi so so is having a difficult life and ending well in sweet, smooth life. But so so chi chi is where you enjoy life at the beginning and becomes tough for you at the end. As a child, when I knew myself, I recall when we were in Wenchi in the Bro Ahafo region. And from where we stayed to where I schooled, I had to do a walking of 6 miles to school. I don't know what 6 miles today will be about 10 kilometers, maybe about 10 kilometers. And it was very tough for me as a very young child, 7 years, 8 years. That's how I was going to school. Not because my parents didn't love me, but they didn't have the means, so I had to walk. Going to school, I recall, I had to eat corn. I just had my mom boiled corn, and I would take one, and whilst walking on the road, I would be eating, going to school. So that's how I was able to go to school, eating corn. I quite remember that when my mom prepared porridge, Because of lack and scarcity, we could not put sugar in the porridge. You know, there are cubes, sugar cubes. So she gave me one cube, and I will cut a little piece and then scoop some porridge and eat it. Because I could not put it into the porridge, I could not feel the sweetness, so I had to cut it, just one cube. That's how difficult my beginnings have been. Very, very difficult indeed. But one thing that I had in mind, and I want to encourage you, you may be going through difficult life just like I started from the beginning. But I wanted to be very independent of my parents. Not independent in the negative sense, independent in not depending on them, even as a child. And so I did small chores. I worked at the corn mill when I was a child. I worked at the corn mill, and the purpose was just to make some money so I could buy my own clothing. I remember at age 10, I was in class 6, and I worked at a corn mill and had some money. And I bought myself a second-hand trousers and a belt. I was very, very proud of it because I bought it myself. That has been my life, just to be able to be independent. If you are dependent on people, you scarcely can be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are independent people. They don't want to depend on the system. They want to be able to be on their own and do things on their own. So from the beginning, that entrepreneurial abilities and skills had already been developed in me. In secondary school, I went to Bepai SDA at the time. At the time, it was a great school. I don't know about now, though, but it was a very great school. Coming after Opokuwari at that time, Prempe, Opokuwari, and SDA at the time. I don't know about now. And I was focused on my education. My dad, unlike today when you have free SHS, my dad had to pay my school fees and he was struggling. My dad was struggling every month, every term when I was going to school. I could see the struggle in my father. And I was just itching to finish so that I would not be dependent on him again because it was too much. He had to pay my school fees and it was hell. Now, when I was in secondary school, just as you are, I was very focused on my academic work. I knew I had no business from my parents. They were civil servants. My dad was a teacher at Agri College. My mom was also a teacher at the primary. They didn't have enough. And I was the first boy. And going to school, they had to, struggle because they had other responsibilities towards their families, his nephews and nieces and all that. And so I really worked hard. Even at home, I made sure that I cleaned the house. Waking up in the morning and cleaning and making sure that things were in good shape. You are a boy now, just like I was at the time. And I want to encourage you that if your parents give you house chores to do, don't be angry with them. It is going to pay later in life. If you don't inculcate the sense of responsibility as a man growing up, as a boy growing up, when you become a matured person, it is going to tell in your life. I was working at home, cleaning, helping in cooking and everything. So as I stand here, I don't need a woman to cook for me. I can do all kinds of cooking. Palm nut soup, groundnut soup, whatever. Because my mom taught me, and I learned it when I was a child. Now I can do it on my own. But if you don't humble yourself to learn these little habits, it will become very difficult for you when you grow up. Because you would find out that because you don't know how to cook, you have to depend on restaurants and cook food outside and all the problems that come with it. In secondary school, I recall there was a man at Opokuari, a teacher here. He was called Sebo. I don't know his real name, but that's how we called him. He was the physics master. Very, very powerful physics master who taught electricity during the long vacation. And he had 2 sessions, and he was running it at Prempe at the time. But he was a teacher at Opokuari. When he did the first session, I could not attend. I was in Form 4. I couldn't attend. Why? Because my dad didn't have money for me to register for the program. So I could not attend for the first time. I was rather working somewhere to get some money to register, whilst my mates have already registered and they have had the first session. So I joined in the second session. What I want to encourage you is that don't let these weaknesses or these difficulties put you down. Some of you, when you face difficulties, you just give up. I cannot, if you cannot pay for my school fees, then why did you bring me to the world? And all that. No, remember, your parents are doing their best for you. They are putting in all that they can. It doesn't mean that you cannot also help yourself. When my parents did not have money to register me for the program, I went to work at a horticultural place at Kwadaso, and I got some money, and I was able to pay. I had to walk from Agric. I was staying at Agric in Zema. I had to walk from there to Oforikrom. I walked to Oforikrom to attend a class. I walked from Agric, so my journey was from Agric in Zema to Kwadaso. I passed through Ejinasi, that area, to Kwadaso Estate to Sofo line to Cultural Center, then to Roman Hill, then to Asim, then to Oforikrom. I had to walk all that distance just because I had to be able to study additional mathematics, only one subject. That is how difficult life has been from my beginnings. I planted beans and cabbage when I was during the long vacation in Form 4, and that is what helped me in getting some money. When I entered into 6th form, there my parents never paid any of my school for my school education, because in our time 6th form was free. So from after Form 5, I never took a shilling or a cedi from my parents. I worked on my own by farming. I planted popcorn. I got 2 bags from that, 2 mini bags. I went to sell it at Roman Cathedral. The cathedral, there was a woman there buying popcorn. That's where I sold it. And that money I had is what took me to the university. I did not ask from my parents even 1 cedi again after Form 5. I want you to know that though your parents have brought you to the world, you have your life to live. You don't have to be dependent on your parents all the time. Give me this, give me that, give me this. You should be able to do some work on your own to earn an income and be on your own. It is possible. I did it, and I'm encouraging you that you should be able to do it. In the university, when I entered into pharmacy, after the second year, I had studied how to make mixtures, trisilicate, kaolin, and other cough mixtures and other things. From there, I started doing it on my own. Maybe it wasn't proper, but well, at the time, it was possible for me to do it because I didn't need any license for that at the time. I'm not talking about today. But you need to take advantage of opportunities. There are some opportunities that come and it slips by. If you don't take advantage, you won't have it again. But that is how I was able to work and get some money. When I was in the university, my friends used to eat at the restaurant. We were given 700 cedis at a time. I'm talking about 84, 85, thereabout. We were given 700 cedis by the government. When I get my 700, I went to the market, to Central Market, to buy stuff, to come and cook. My friends went to the restaurant, so in 2 weeks, their money was finished. But I was buying and cooking in my room. So I always had some money with me. I was making money out of my mixtures and the things that I was making. By the time I finished university, I had made 450,000 cedis on my own at a time as a student. That is where I got the capital to start my life. My father didn't have anything, my mother didn't have anything, but on my own, by the grace of God, I was able to work and make 450,000 cedis. I'm talking about 1988, when none of you were born. With that money, I went to Israel for a student exchange program. And I bought the ticket on my own. By the grace of God, I had to buy the ticket on my own. I didn't take any money from my parents in any ways. They didn't have it. But I was able to do that. And when I went to Israel, I learned something very, very important in my life. It brought a whole change to my perception. The head of pharmacy in Tel Hashomer Hospital in Israel, Shamsheba, he was called Dr. Schechter. We ate in a dining. After break, we go to eat in a dining. And when we went, Dr. Schechter ate and took his own bowl, brought it to the pantry, and washed it. I said, wow, this will never happen in Ghana. That the director of pharmacy will eat and bring his own bowl to the pantry. It taught me a lesson that being a head, being at the top level does not change you, should not change your character. Your character should be formed from your habits. And your habits, the foundation of your habits has to be centered on God. And that's how it has been my life. I have been a church person. I have listened to the word of God, my parents taking me to church and learning the rudiments of Christianity. I have allowed myself to be tutored by the word of God. And so from that time, can we have some silence, please? From that time, my whole life changed. I recall when I came to Ghana, I worked at Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. At the time, we were making infusions, dextrose and normal saline and things. The water they put on you when you go to the hospital. And we had attendants and junior staff who were to wash the bottles for us to make the infusions. They were standing there. They would not work. So even though I was a pharmacist and I had those people as my juniors, I personally washed the bottles. I will wash them, go to the aseptic lab, fill it with the medication, come and autoclave, and then serve it to the wards. I was doing this on my own. I wasn't bothered about they not helping because that was their job, but they will not do it. You growing up, you will come to know that there are people in society who only wants to take but never to give. You meet them growing up, you will see it. But you should not be deterred by those things. Do your best. Be focused on life. Be focused on what you want to do. Do not allow other people to define your way, your focus. Be very steadfast, established in what you want to do. There are many people who will discourage you, but do not be discouraged. Not even by your parents or the circumstance. If you are focused on the right thing, go ahead and get it. Listen, in my business life, it has been very tough. Let me tell you that those who want to enter into business, it is not, there are vultures, there are sharks, there are lions ready to eat you up. There are people who will convince you to take a loan, and they will put a certain interest on it that would forever and ever become an albatross. You can never pay it. Don't rush to take loans. Don't rush to take loans. Even as young people now, make sure you have, how many of you have bank accounts? Raise your hand. Let me see. How many of you have bank accounts? Not Momo account, bank account. How many of you? None of you have a bank account? At this age, at the age of 10, I had a bank savings account. At the age of 10. At that time, in Wenchi at that time was part of Ashanti region. And the post office had a savings account. And that's where my mom took me to open an account. From that time, any money that I got from someone, maybe a gift, I put it in the account. At this time, if you don't have an account, make sure you get an account. Are you with me? Go and open a bank account. Every money given you by your father's friend or through some work you've done or something, put it in your account, build it up. Build it up. My capital for my business, I got it when I was in the university. So I believe that to make it, you should make sure that by the time you finish university, you have the capital to start for life. You don't finish university to work to get money for life. No. You should work. Whatever you have to do to get some income, do it. Insofar as you are not stealing. Work hard. Be focused. Be established. Let God lead you. The God factor is so crucial because wisdom doesn't come from man. It comes from God. Even when I was going to marry, I depended on God. He gave me the wisdom. How many children I should have? I have 2 kids. But I spaced them 5 years. It wasn't a mistake. It was purposeful. Because at the time when we were having O-level, it was 5 years. And my father, having struggled to see me through O-level, I didn't want to go through the same thing. So I planned that by the time my son or my child is finishing O-level at the time, before another one will enter, so that I don't have two people to take care of at the same time. It was planned. I planned my life through the wisdom that God has given me. Today, I have a lot of products in Ghana. But you know what? The interesting thing is that people know my products, but they don't know my company. Those who know my company and the products, they do not know me. You know why? Because I'm not significant. What is important are the products and the business. I am just an ordinary person. I don't matter. Life is not about who you are and showing around and I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. Yes, I've been able to put up that hospital, Orion Healthcare, at Asuyagwa, if I've seen it. That's my hospital. That's what God helped me to build. It took me 10 years to put up the hospital. 10 good years. But gradually, without depending on anybody, without any stress, gradually I've been able to put it up. Today, my son and my daughter are taking care of it. You can make it if you let God be your lead. God bless you.